So let's go. So today we'll be completing the CSS and the JavaScript for our form. So let's go over the spec editor and let's finish up. So this is what we did yesterday, and today we will be completing for the CSS. So we already have our CSS and our JavaScript, but nothing is there yet. So let's preview. So right now we have nothing yet. So let's make sure our HTML is properly structured before we can style it. So let's get rid of this search. Let's get rid of this search input, because a search input is not supposed to be inside of our form, only where searches are required. All right. And if we look at our interface, we find out that our checkbox here, it's going to the right. We want it under the password. So let's add that b arrow tag over here again. So we add a b arrow tag. So let's check and see if it works. All right, proper. So let's also add a b arrow tag at the ending of here. I will start this way, and then I will teach you how to style it the proper way without using multiple b arrow tags. Right, it's not every time you want to be using b arrow tags. So let's also add b arrow tag at the end of this label. All right. So we run it and we got a proper HTML. Let's start. Let's continue from where we stopped. My battery is pretty low right now, but I will try to make sure I style these guys before we finish up. So what I will go and do is, I will first of all give, since all our inputs let's say they're all inputs, right? So we can relatively style all of them together. So but we don't want to target this last guy as well. So it's going to be almost confusing for us to do, but I do know how to do it. But just pay attention, because we are going to get technical here. So let's go to our CSS. So I'll get rid of this code over here. So I want to target with the universal selector. Make sure you want to do this at the first step of anytime you are just starting out your CSS. Margin of 0, and then you also have a padding of 0, padding of 0, and so forth. So far so good. Okay, so let's add a font family, right? There are many type of font family you want to choose. So I'll basically go with sans serif, because it's more formal. So what I want to do right now is, let's target our main. Remember what we have here. We have main, and then inside the main we have a form. So let's target the main. So since we have only one main, I don't need to class it. So I'll target the main. What I want to do is give it a height of 100 VH. This means the height will cover the whole screen from the top to the bottom. Then I'll give it a width. That 100 VH means 100 vertical height. So it will cover from top to bottom. So width of 100% we do, so that it will cover from left to right. So let's give it a background color that is gray. Let's just give it a background color. Background color, let's give it something that we can define, right? Let's give it a width color. So let's run this. Let's see what we got so far. You see what we have already. So let's place this whole form. Remember what we have in our HTML, we have the form inside of the main. So let's place this form in the middle in our in our interface, let's make the form in the middle of the page like this. All right. So inside here, we can do what we have. Since we have only the form, we can do a display of flex, right? So nothing changes, right? So we want to automatically center the form. So what we can do is align items to the center. Now they will be aligned to the center, but justify content center should also justify them to the middle. Justify content center. So this will put everything in the middle, right? So this will put everything in the middle and in the middle. You get? So it's perfectly centered. So we'll move over to style the form. So we target the form. So the reason I'm doing a video is because I'm trying new resources, new ways for you guys to get our class. Right? I will be recording the classes and be posting them on YouTube as well. So make sure you follow. Most especially the GitHub class, I will be posting it on YouTube because I am trying to gather my YouTube subscribers so that I'm trying to gather my YouTube subscribers so that I can be making live sections on YouTube. All right. So for the form, we want to have a padding. Though we don't want to have a height and width right now, so let's just leave that height and width for now. No, you know what? Let's do the height and width. Let's do a width first of all. I don't want it to get to the ending of the page, so I'll give it a width of 80%, so it will not be to the end of the web page. So I'll give it a height of let's use percent as well. Let's use um also if I put 80%, okay, let's use 80%. So let's give it a white background color so that we can see it. Background color of white. All right, so let's see what we have. So far so good. This is what we have. So we want to reduce the height because the height is too long right now. So let's reduce the height, guys. So we can give it a height of 50 or 40%. So it's still fair. So far so good. This is what we have. Let's have a padding because I don't like the way the form is. The form right now is not having spaces at the edge. So let's put a padding. No need for margin, right? So let's just add a padding. Say a padding. All around the padding, we want to have padding of 10 pixels. Then we'll run this. This is what we have right now, a padding of 10 pixels. So let's go further and start. So the reason I'm leaving this label is because I want to also teach you how to style with label and also how to style checkbox, also how to style button. So these things are things you should learn. These things are things you should know by default. All right. So let's continue. So I'm going to style a little and then I will pause the video, though I will merge it because my phone wants to off. I'm already on 2%, if you can see. So let's just do some things and then we'll continue. So what we want is for let's first of all target the first two labels, right? So what we can do, we can give them a name. So we'll give them an ID. I'm giving them ID. Let me just give them class. There's no need to give them ID. So it doesn't matter, there's no difference, but class is very more common. Let's be using class. So class them, let's call it, I'll call it the name, because it's the label we placed for name. So I'll call this one a class of phone. So we know it's the label we placed for phone. I'll call this label an ID or a class of check so that I'll know it's the class for check. All right, so when we're installing this, it should become very easier for us to understand. All right, so what we want to do first of all, let's target these labels. Rather, before we target the labels, let's target the forms. Let's all give them, this one has an ID of name, this one has an ID of phone, this one doesn't have an ID, this one doesn't have an ID. So let's give them their respective IDs. So this, since this is for email, I'll give it an ID of email. Make sure you want to leave it in all lowercase, that means all small letters, so that you will not get issue. Because if it's in small letters and I target it in my CSS in capital letters, it won't work. So I want to make sure I'm leaving all in small letters so that all through I will just know I'm using small letters to work. So this for password, I'll just put password. All right. So you can name them anything as we've already learned, but it is important that you name them as according to what you're using them for, so that if anybody is randomly going through your code, they can also understand what you're trying to do. All right. So if we run this, nothing has changed again. So let's go to our CSS and let's target those inputs. So first of all, we'll call form. Since what the inputs we're targeting are inside of the form, so we can be able to first of all call form and then call the ID with an hashtag or a pound sign. Then we can say pound and then call the phone, but we have the name first. So in this name, what I want to do is I want to just style. I want to style it, give it a height and a width. All right. So, and we also give it a padding because the text are too going to the edge. If you see the text are already on the edge, even if I start typing, it's not that very fine. All right. So first thing we want to add is a padding, and then we can do a top and the bottom of 5 pixel, and then the left and right should be 10 pixel. Right, so nothing big will change, but it's just more better now. So our text is now like it's in the middle. So let's get rid of all those borders. So we say border none, right? So when we run this, we will see that we don't have any border here, but when we press on it, we start writing. You see that this yellow line will appear. This one is what we call the outline. So let's get rid of that as well. Let's get rid of the outline. So it's what we call outline none as well. Then when we run this, you see when we click on it, we start typing, nothing shows. So since we've already achieved this, so let's put a border to the bottom to make it more luxury, more to look more professional, more luxurious, just as the example we did last time. So let's put a border to the bottom. To put border to only the bottom, I taught you guys can call the border snippet rather border dash bottom, border hyphen bottom, border bottom. And then we can do a 1 pixel solid, and we can do gray. We don't want to do white or black. Let's do gray for now. So you see, so you know that this is for that. So the border bottom is too far because of the padding at the top and bottom. So let's reduce the padding at the top and bottom, which is the first one. We turn it to 2 pixel so that we can have it close. It's not really close. Let's just turn it to 0 so that we know that top and bottom has no padding, right? So left and right, let's turn it back to 5 pixel. Run it. So it's better like this. So let's increase the border, but the border size from 1 to 2 pixel, and let's run it, and you see how better it looks. All right. So hello, or write my name, Rogue Tech. So it's that simple. So you're going to repeat the process for the rest inputs to look like this, and later on we will now start the labels to properly match what we are doing. So that is all for now. This is what we are supposed to be looking for to style. So if you pay close attention, you will find out that we are almost getting close, right? And we should be able to customize our own UI to look exactly like this. Now we find out that to add icons will be a stress using Spec Editor, so we have excluded that. Though I will make some research and learn how to customize our own icon using Spec Editor, so that one will be defined only for Spec Editor. But aside that, let's focus on getting this UI accurate, right? So this is what we're supposed to be working like to achieve. So let's compare with our current design. So this is what we have. So far so good. Only something like only this has matched up a little. So if you notice, it's matched up a little, and them don't have these labels. So we are going to get rid of the labels, but let's style the labels first, right? So what I can do, let's have a width over here, a width. Let's make it full the whole form, so we have 100%. Since the width of this name input, this since the input is inside the form, if I give it a width of 100%, it's going to take 100% width of the form. So wherever the form is elongated to, that's where to get to the end of. You get, so you see the end already. So let's reduce the border as well. I think it's too thick compared to what you're trying to achieve. So it also should be 1 pixel. So guys, let's see how we can increase the height. Let's give it a height of let's say 30 pixel per se. We have a height successfully. So, and I don't like how this width is getting to the actual end. You're supposed to end something like the way it's starting, not to the very end, because the form is having a padding of left and right of 10 pixels. Let me turn it to 10 pixels. Let's see if it will work. You see, didn't also work. So this is one issue concerning Spec Editor. Okay, so our major problem now is this width that is elongating outside the div, outside the form tag, right? Normally on your PC it should not be so, right? I don't know why it is like this on this Spec Editor, but let's see if this is top right. I'm trying to calculate something. This will be, it will not still work because this should be right. Or if I should comment on this padding I have on the form, let's see what will happen. Let's see what will happen. So I commented on the padding and nothing really changed. It did not fix the issue. So let's get rid of the comment so that we can have our padding back. And after here, at this point I'm just thinking of ignoring. Okay, I think I know what the problem is. Come over here and have a border box. Is it border slicing? Okay, box sizing. Then add a border box. Let's see if this will fix it. Alright, it fixed it. This has been the issue that I've been facing. So I didn't realize I forgot to add the box sizing. So box sizing is what merges, when you have two paddings, for example, our form has a padding and our input here has a padding. So those two paddings will collide and it will not be overflowing out of the div. So this that we have here, all these attributes, that we have here, you want to make sure every time you start your CSS, you want to start with this. Don't omit it, else you'll be having difficulties arranging your styling. All right, so since we got that out of the way, I knew there was something I was missing. That was what I was trying to calculate. So we have this already. So let's continue. So we'll start the name. Instead of styling the other ones one after the other as well, why not just style all of them in the same pattern? So remember the names we gave them. We gave this one name, we gave this one phone, and so forth. So we have till password. So we don't want to start the checkbox to look like that, because we want the borders on the checkbox. We want the person or the user to know that that is a checkbox. So we will not be styling it as all other inputs, right? So we don't want to target the checkbox right now. So what we can do, we can just copy this double box here is copy, and then come down here, paste it, change the name to phone, come down here, paste it, change the name to email, also do for password as well. So change the name to password. So let's test it out. Let's see what we got. So we've got this and it's proper. So you can style you can relatively style these inputs, these labels, anyhow you want. Like the way you style p tag, you can make it bold, you can do all sorts of things with it. So because of this kind of styling that I'm having, that I only have borders at the bottom, for the sake of it, that is why I will be removing the labels. But before we remove the labels, let me show you something incredible. So go over to the form. So let's have a display flex inside the form. I'll show you what it will do. Display flex. I will show you what it will do and how it will help us. For now, you see, all the inputs are displaying side by side. That is why it's showing this ugly interface. But we want it to stack on top of each other like normal. I'll show you why we did the display flex. So for it to stack on top each other, we do flex direction, not underscore, but direction. We want to do a column rather. So we'll do column and everything should return back to normal. But you see the way everything is returning back to normal, we now have spaces here. But remember, if you click on your keyboard, this is a phone, it will compress the whole web page upwards. So this is our original design, but when you click on it, this is not our original design. So you can make it interactive. You can make it should I use the word interactive? Yeah, I think it's okay. You can make it um flexible. Let's say 90% of height. You see, it's 90%, but if you click on it, though it's compressing it all, but it is not overflowing out of the web page. So we can equally leave it this way. Okay, so you get the gist. But there's a way that we can handle this height so that it can look normal, and when we also click, it will also still look normal. So let's add that and then we'll continue. So instead of using a normal height, we want to do the maximum, or is it maximum? Let's test it out. There is what we call max height. That means the highest position that the height can get to is 90%. It's supposed to going to be 90%. So we have this, but if we click on it, it will still be normal, because this is the normal height. That means we don't have any height. This is the automatic height that the web page is giving it. But even though I click on it, instead of compressing it, right, the highest height is 90%, and then we still have that 90% height. So we don't have that long form anymore. So let's keep it this way. So the reason why we are doing flex direction column is to add a gap, because you cannot add a gap without a flex box. So if you haven't displayed flex, you cannot be able to add gaps into your design. So let's add a gap of 20 pixels. Let's use 20 pixels. Let's see what it will give us. So very long. Wow. Okay. Okay, same thing. Okay, still overflowing. It's still overflowing, guys. So I don't think 20 pixel is cut it. And the reason why we're having this difficulty is because in our form we are having scattered inputs and labels instead of us to group them together. So you have to group them together. If you're working with labels and inputs, if I was doing this professionally, I am supposed to take all these guys. Instead of using a BR tag, I will cut it. I'll use a div to group it. And then I will paste in. Oh, made a mistake. So let me paste in that one. So I just grouped it. If I remove this BR tag, and I want you to notice something about our design. You see, nothing changed, right? So let's do it for the rest. Instead of adding BR tags, make sure you just, it's better if you group them in a div. So don't need to be scared about the div. So the reason I was doing it like this before was to make sure that you understand what BR does and why we include them in different divs. So repeat the process for all other inputs. Cut it here, add a div, paste it. I'm just doing this to make our code look more neat. You don't have to if you understand what you're doing. But if you do not understand, make sure you add it. So you can equally remove the BRO. The only reason I'm leaving this BRO inside here is because of the label. If I remove it right now, okay, nothing changes actually, but I know why it's like that. But let's put it back. Ctrl Z. All right. So far so good. We've got to this point, and we understand some stuff, right? We understand some stuff. So let's include that now we see that our gap 20 pixel is no longer making it too long, right? And it's almost not overflowing again. But let's still, since we have one more thing that is needing to be put in a div, this input, this checkbox input, it is inside, it is, as in it also has its own label. So let's put it inside the div as well, as to what, group them together. So let me get rid of this class. I don't want to class it yet. All right, I think that automatically does it for us. Let me properly shape the code. Okay, shape it. All right. Okay, I think this is better. All right, so when we run this now, I think you see our label checkbox is now properly arranged. See, it was scattered before, right? So right now we are looking good. We're looking good. And if you notice, our button automatically took a long a long width. That is because of the flex box we added in the form. So the flex box we added in the form here, this line 21 and line 22, this is what made everything inside the form take up the whole width. So if I should do align items to the center, you will see something dramatic. I say align items and I put on the center. You will find out that everything is now taking its original size. So why is this one shorter? Because it is inside a div and that div does not have a width. Why is this one longer? It is not inside a div and originally the input itself is 100%. Why is this one small? Because it's not inside a div and this button here is its original size. This one also has automatically been shrinked to the minimum width that it was before. So let's remove the align items so that we don't have to be giving the divs width again. So just take this. I think we can do. Can we do command and question mark? No, we can't do that. So let's leave that. That's a shortcut to comment. So let's this is what I mean. This is proper, right? This is very proper. So I don't think right now, I don't think there's any point for these labels, right? It really makes our code more ugly. So let's get rid of them. So it's not difficult to style labels. You can style them literally anyhow you want. Literally. So also there's no need for the divs anymore, but let's leave that so that we don't waste our time. We just get rid of these guys. So when we run it, we have a proper. So but there's something that is also still missing. Okay, I think this is the issue I'll be getting. This B arrow needs to go at the back of the password. All right, that B arrow has been adding more space under the password. So let's add a heading at the top of the form to make it look more professional. Just like the new accounts that we have here. So let's add our own new account, right? You can choose any heading you want, but I'm going to go with this same, and I also use this color that they used, right? So let's do that. All right, so to add that heading, you don't want to add it outside the form because of how you center the form, right? If I have an H1 here per se, let's do it so that you see what I'm talking about. And I say new accounts, just as they do the added question marks. Spell that correctly. If I run this, notice something. This is what we have. Why is this happening? This is because in our CSS, we already told the main to display flex in line 12. We said display flex, say align item center. So everything is automatically in the center. So adding, since it's just one item, it's making everything in the center. But if you add two items, they will go and sit side by side, except I do align item flex direction to be column, then they will stack on top of each other. So the best way is to add a H1 inside of the form itself, as it will not disarrange the design of the form. So let me just shift this backwards. Voila. So we have this. So we just align it to the center by doing text align center. So I'll class it and I will call it head, since it doesn't have any other head. So I can freely name it head. And how can I class it? How can I style it? First of all, target the form and then do dot head since it's a class. make sure you have spaces here. So I will just do a text align. Why am I text align to the center? And also you will notice that our own text align is too bold. So our own H1 rather is too bold. So I will do a font weight of 10. Let's, nothing is happening. No, I don't think we have 10. We have bold, we have semi-bold. Let's do 200. You can do numbers. If you do 900, it will be very good. 200 will be also light, you see. So it's light. So let's add more padding to the form because I think we need more padding. So add 20 pixels of padding so that our form will have spaces around it, proper spacing around it. So this spacing is proper. So far so good, we've come to this extent. So we'll start this remember me color to match this gray color. You know, this one is not black, totally black, it is gray, just as our border here is also gray. So we give this remember me text gray color. And also you see the checkbox is like a bit higher than the remember me, so there's a way that we can arrange it. So let's first of all start the button before we get over to that. So we want to start our button. Let me class it and I will call it sub button. All right, and in their own they have what we call, let me do this like this, they have what we call create account, if I'm even correct. I'm not sure this is what they wrote there. Maybe sign up, but let's use create account. Let me spell account correctly. All right, so the name of our button is sub. So let's style our button. So first of all, we don't want it to cover the whole page, so we'll do dot, no, let's call it form since it's inside form, and then we'll do dot sub since it's a class name, we'll do dot sub. So then what we want, let's run this and let's see. We want the height and the weight, but we don't want to use height and weight, right? Let's first of all give it a padding instead of having a height and a weight. So we have a padding of, the first value will be top and bottom. So let's do 8 pixels for the top and bottom. Second value will be left and right, so we do 12 pixels. So let's run it, let's see what we got. I think I'm okay with this button. Let me make this 10 pixels. Let's also see again. All right, this is perfect, right? This is perfect. So let's give it a color. The color obviously white, and the background color is a faint blue. You have a faint blue, very faint blue. Should I call it light blue? No, it's not light blue. Let's, how should we? Let's see. Lights. Yeah, let's see light sky blue. I don't know, there's color like light sky blue. Right, I think this light sky blue is perfect. So let's make sure this button does not have a border, because the border is making it ugly right now. So we do a border of none. So to remove border none. Right, so we will run this and you see how beautiful the button looks. So let's style the input fields, rather the checkbox. Right, so we named it, so it also has a div. Let's class the div, let's class it and name it check. So we also, I think, yeah, that's it. So since we have a check, let's go and target that div. So we can say form, and then the name is dot check. So what we can do is let's display flex. Though it's already displaying flex, that means it's already side by side. But the point is, we want to make sure that it is aligned at the original side. You can see that it's already aligned by itself because we just display flex. So what we do, just add a gap between them. So we can do gap of 5 pixels, something small, so that it matches. Then you can relatively also target the label inside the check. Remember, copy this. I don't want to be writing it twice. So there's what we call dots. Okay, there's a label rather. The label tag is not a dot. Since it's a tag, don't need to put dot. So since this will go inside form, go inside a div called dot check, and then target the label. And then we can do a font weight. Let's do 400. Something pretty decent. Okay, same thing. So has no point, but let's do a text color, which is color of gray, so that we should not have a very bold color. So far so good. We just completed the CSS. So I'm going to send this one to the group, and then we'll go over to JavaScript, where if I enter a wrong value here, it should tell me I'm entering a wrong value, right? That's what we call error. It's called error, or rather it's called form validation. Very simple, form validation. So far so good. This is what we've got, and then we can be able to, once we click on create account, you can see it's already telling us that our email address is not complete, it's not correct. This is an automatic validation, right? We also learn how to do it with JavaScript. So we can also tell users that you cannot sign up without having a name. If I click create an account now, nothing is not telling me any error. It's supposed to tell me I've not entered my name, I've not entered my number, or I've not entered my password, right? So let me send this one to the group chat, and let's go over to JavaScript, and let's see how we can make this proper. I'm not able to go back. Oh, what's going on? Let me refresh. Okay. Okay, it's because I was clicking the submit button too much. All right, that is that for that. So on the next video, I'll be doing the form validation using JavaScript. Stay tuned.